Oh, I'm sure. That's like a gravy job. We'll call today's meeting of the Berry County Board of Commissioners meeting together, or to order, excuse me. At this time, we will stand for a moment of silence and invocation, and then followed by the Pledge of Allegiance.
Please watch over us and help us as we tackle the many difficulties that we experience as a county. See to it that all present are safe. Help us to continue our friendship through all these difficult times. I ask this in your name, Lord. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. You may be seated. Madam Clerk, will you call the roll?
Campbell.
Here.
Connor.
Here.
Geiger absent. Getty.
Here.
Gibson.
Here.
Jackson absent. Smoker.
Here.
Approval of the written agenda, including consent items and items for discussion. Is there any Board of Commissioner that wishes to change the agenda? Anyone from the public? Do I have a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved, Gibson.
Thank you.
Support. Campbell.
Motion by Gibson, supported by Campbell, to approve the agenda as presented. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion is approved. Reports from state and county officers. Good morning.
Under Sheriff Jason Sixberry, Berry County Sheriff's Office, obviously. September 2022 stats, Berry County Law Enforcement logged 757 complaints handled in the month of September. 34 individuals were arrested. There were 82 accidents handled, 40 involved deer, 3 involved alcohol and or drug related. 403 criminal histories were run for the warrant entry and or warrant requests. 74 sex offenders were processed. 32 home checks were conducted for the Berry County Specialty Courts. 247 pistol licenses were processed. In 2022 to 2017, incidents handled were 757 versus 753. Accidents handled 82 to 66, car versus deer 40 to 29, and arrests 34 to 70. For alcohol and drug-related arrests were 9 to 15.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any questions for Under Sheriff Sixberry?
How many people do we have in jail now? 60. Thank you. 60, yes.
Thank you.
I do have other lieutenant operations, Tim Stevens, as well as Lieutenant Pete Nevins and Sergeant Lehman with me, just in case you have any other questions too. So.
Okay, thank you. Moving on, any other state or county officers? All right, thank you. Limited public comment. At this time, any member of the public wishing to address the committee may do so for up to 3 minutes.
Joel Ibbotson. Whoop. Can you hear me? Is it working?
Doesn't
Oh, well.
sound like it.
I don't care. Joel Ibbotson, Rutland Township. I'm gonna keep it short and sweet.
Now I do.
Yes, I hear it now. I think this board really should look at the retirement age of deputies. Kent County is quite lucrative compared to us, as well as I think every single neighboring county has a lower retirement age than we do. Do we really want 59-and-a-half-year-old, nothing against old men, but do we really want those people chasing kids through the woods? You know, they don't heal as well. I can tell you as 34 years of age, I don't heal as well. Ice and snow, all the different hazards that come with the occupation and so forth. I think it's something this board really needs to look at. Thank you.
Thank you. I see you behind the post.
Speaking of older people who don't move as fast. Good morning.
Good morning.
Sharon Zabrowski, Vice Chair of the COA Board. Last week, you looked at the COA's finances and said, since we had money, you felt maybe we should pay for the roof replacement on your building. It's true, we have money. But no one asked what expenses had to come out of that money. That is the money that we have to operate until taxes come again. Grants have become very unreliable and often don't even happen, even though they've been promised. Winter is coming, and it is a very hard time for seniors. Just getting out to socialize is hard. Getting groceries and going to appointments is harder. If anything is going to break down or go wrong, that's the time it's going to happen. Sometimes seniors need help that other agencies are unable to give them. We are their last hope. More seniors need Meals on Wheels, which for some is almost their only human contact. They need more home care and help getting groceries and to doctor's appointments. In the 9 years that I've sat on the COA board, we have fixed your roof multiple times, fixed and even replaced some of your air conditioning and heating systems, fixed your plumbing and drainage issues, and fixed your sidewalks so that people wouldn't continue to trip and fall. All of this work on your building has taken money away from the things we should be doing for seniors. The COA money should be used to help seniors and to make their lives easier, not to maintain your building. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else this morning? All right, we will proceed with various correspondence. Does any commissioners have any correspondence that they received? Okay. Consent items.
Madam Chair, I move for approval of September 13th, 2022 Board of Commissioners meeting minutes. Item B, approval of September 27th, 2022 Board of Commissioners meeting minutes. Item C, approval of October 4th, 2022 Committee of the Whole meeting minutes. Item D, approval to reappoint June Bernard to serve on the Department of Health and Human Service Board for a 3-year term beginning on November 1st, 2022 and expiring on October 31st, 2025. Item E, approval to appoint Kristen Lawbaugh to serve on the Berry County Community Mental Health Authority Board for the remainder of a 3-year term that began on April 1st, 2022 and expires on March 31st, 2025. Item F, approval to deactivate the Berry County Animal Shelter Advisory Board effective October 31st, 2022. Item G, approval of a grant number EMC-2022-EP-00001, State of Michigan Fiscal Year 2022 Emergency Management Performance Grant Agreement, and authorize the county administrator and the board chair to sign the grant agreement.
Thank you.
Support.
So we have a motion by Commissioner Gibson, seconded by Commissioner Smelker. Approval of September 13th, 2022 Board of Commissioners meeting minutes, approval of September 27th, 2022 Board of Commissioner meeting minutes, approval of October 4th, 2022 Committee of the Whole meeting minutes, approval to reappoint June Barrett to serve on the Department of Health and Human Services Board for 3-year term beginning on November 1st, 2022 and expiring on October 31st, 2025. Approval to appoint Kristen Lawbaugh to serve on the Berry County Community Mental Health Authority Board for the remainder of a 3-year term that began on April 1st, 2022 and expires on March 31st, 2025. Approval to deactivate the Berry County Animal Shelter Advisory Board effective October 31st, 2022. Approval of grant number EMC-2022-EP-00001, State of Michigan Fiscal Year 2022 Emergency Management Performance Grant Agreement, and authorize the county administrator and the board chair to sign the grant agreement. These are consent items and no discussion is allowed. Madam Clerk, will you call the roll?
Campbell.
Yes.
Geiger absent. Getty.
Aye.
Gibson,
Aye.
Jackson absent, Smelker,
Aye.
Connor.
Aye. Motion is approved. Presentation of Employee Service Awards. This is a first for me, folks, so. Kinda winging it here, so the first one is for Joseph Cooper. Okay. Susan Hinga Zarep. Did I say it wrong? Sorry. Huh?
Zurich.
Zurep?
Zurich
With
with a Z.
a Z? Yeah. That's, maybe I didn't pronounce it well enough, but I had a Z. I had a Z there, so I want to congratulate you, Susan Hinga Zurep, on 5 years of dedicated public service given to the people of Berry County, Michigan, presented on this 11th day of October, 2022. Susan is the legal secretary in our prosecutor's office. Congratulations. Want to just stand aside? He'll want to get a picture when we're done. Thank you. And the next one, Sean Olmsted. Corrections?
He's at Corrections Academy right now.
Okay. Making my job easy. So, and the last one, Jennifer Daly. There you are. So Jennifer is a caseworker with the family court. Really a good day for you, isn't it? So Jennifer Daly, on 25 years of dedicated public service given to the people of Berry County, Michigan, presented this 11th day of October, 2022. Thank you very much. Sure. The first gentleman, Joseph Cooper, had 10 years. He is with the deputy sheriffs. And the second person, Mr. Olmsted, I assume it's Sean is is 5 years. You're welcome. Wrong chair. Public hearings, we have none. Items for consideration.
Madam Chair, I move for the following transfers and disbursements. Approval of prepaid invoices in the amount of $7,187,103.77.
Second, Gibson.
We have a motion by Commissioner Smelker, seconded by Commissioner Gibson, for the approval of prepaid invoices in the amount of $7,187,103.77. Is there any discussion? In that case, I'll read that again. Approval of transfers and disbursements, approval of prepaid invoices in the amount of $7,187,103.77. Madam Clerk, will you call the roll?
Geiger absent, Getty,
Aye.
Gibson,
Aye.
Jackson absent, Smelker,
Aye.
Campbell,
Aye.
Connor.
Aye. Motion is approved.
I'm sorry. I move for the approval of claims in the amount of $60,217.22.
Support Getty.
Motion by Smelker, seconded by Getty. Approval of claims in the amount of $60,217.22. Is there any discussion, questions? I'll read that one more time. Motion by Smelker, seconded by Getty, for approval of claims in the amount of $60,217.22. Madam Clerk, will you call the roll?
Getty,
Aye.
Gibson,
Aye.
Jackson absent, Smelker,
Aye.
Campbell,
Aye.
Geiger absent, Connor.
Aye. Motion is approved.
Madam Chair, I move for the approval of Commissioners' reimbursement and mileage in the amount of $269.75.
Support Getty.
Thank you. Motion by Smelker, seconded by Getty for approval of Commissioner reimbursements mileage in the amount of $269.75. Is there discussion? Questions? Okay, moving right along. I'll read that again. Approval of Commissioner reimbursements mileage in the amount of $269.75. Madam Clerk, will you call the roll?
Gibson,
Aye.
Jackson absent, Smelker,
Aye.
Campbell,
Aye.
Geiger absent, Getty,
Aye.
Connor.
Aye. Motion is approved.
Madam Chair, I move for the approval to expand the focus of the Special Ad Hoc County Facilities Review Committee to include the evaluation of vacant county-owned properties and underutilized space that exists within current county facilities and make recommendations to the full board on the future use or sale of these properties.
Support Campbell.
Thank you. Motion by Smelker, seconded by Campbell, for approval to expand the focus of the Special Ad Hoc County Facilities Review Committee to include the evaluation of vacant county-owned properties and underutilized space that exists within current county facilities and make recommendations to the full board on the future state of sale of these properties. So, open for discussion. Does any commissioner have anything? I was the one that, the single no vote on this last week. Since then, I've had discussions with Ben because I had a concern about something that he said versus it was a little contrary to what David had said, but we got that straightened out. He was on the same path as David had explained it, so I'm okay with this now and I will vote yes for it. So I just wanted to explain what happened last week, so if anyone else has any questions at this time, if not, I'll reread the motion. So, motion by Smelker, I wrote it on the back page, seconded by Campbell. Approval to expand the focus of the Special Ad Hoc County Facilities Review Committee to include the evaluation of vacant county-owned properties and underutilized space that exists within current county facilities and make recommendations to the full board on the future use or sale of these properties. Madam Clerk, will you call the roll?
Jackson absent, Smelker,
Aye.
Campbell,
Aye.
Geiger absent, Getty,
Aye.
Gibson,
Aye.
Connor.
Aye. Motion is approved. Continued,
Yeah,
Oh.
is this one to be voted on, or do I just bring it up?
I guess we're just gonna,
I think I should let you do it.
okay. So this is continued discussion on the 2023 Berry County proposed budget. Michael, are you going up front? Sure. Thank you. We left one of the things on without any kind of a vote, and it was the COA roof. It was something that was in the appeals. So I guess that's where we pick up on one thing. Then there was a couple of other discussions, which we'll get into, but we probably should address this first because it does need some kind of a decision before we go any further, because it was a part of the appeal process. So, that being said, who would like to start anything? I will start by saying I did have some correspondence this week and emails from a constituent that asked me to vote no on this. Because she said it's a millage-based department, and she felt that millage-based departments and should be paid, everything should be paid with their millage. So, that's where I'll start. Does anybody else have anything to say about the We were all here, right? Everybody was here last week, yes. So
I
on the
believe I
roof.
said that same thing last week, so.
So, anybody else have anything, what do we want to do with this request? We don't want to. If there's no motion made, is it just, I'm gonna have to ask you, Mike, I'm not sure.
That's correct. If there's no
If
motion
there's,
made,
then it just fails. It just,
correct.
nothing happens, goes forward.
Madam Chair?
Mhm.
To follow up on public comment that was brought up today, that fund balance being used for operating, for front-loading grant expenses to be reimbursed, is that what that fund balance has been used for?
that might be a question better addressed by Courtney. But it's my understanding there's.
Michael, they're saying, oh, Catherine, oh, sorry. They can't hear you, are you on?
I'm on. Can you hear me now? If
Yeah,
I
there you
speak
go.
right next to you.
Okay, sorry, Michael.
So the question that Catherine had asked relates to the comment about the use of fund balance. And again, that might be better suited for Courtney to respond to. But in general, the fund balance can serve as a cash component for cash management, cash flow purposes, but it doesn't appear to be used year over year. So it's, I do understand the concern and share that, you know, there is some level of fund balance that needs to be there should grants dry up, should certain things happen. We have a similar situation, but then there's also a portion of that fund balance, as I understand it, that's dedicated to the building. But again, I don't manage that budget, so I don't want to get into the weeds of trying to commit what their methodology is with regard to the use of that fund balance and how important it is in the overall management. So I apologize, I'm kind of deflecting the question, but I don't want to misrepresent either, because I don't manage that.
Thank you.
Courtney, do you want to come up? Thank you, Michael.
So currently, the millage is about 50% of our operating budget. So the rest of that is coming in through grants, program income, donations. So as far as the fund balance, we have been dipping into that. I've looked at the past 6 years. The only year that we have not dipped into the fund balance was the year that we got COVID dollars. So that fund balance is going down slowly over time. And we do use it for the cash flow. Michael's right there. So we are reimbursed for our services through most of our grants. It's not, we don't get the money up front. We have to apply for the money after the fact. So with the grant dollars, a lot of times we're anywhere from 30 to 60 days behind. So does that answer the question?
Can I answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. So, I think that we should handle this appeal before we go on to the full budget, and then we'll discuss those other things first, but, getting my stuff out of whack here because I thought I had written down what did you last week report there was like 400,000 in one fund balance and then so much 400 and some in the building fund balance?
The building fund balance is at 442, I want to say.
Okay,
The operating fund balance is at about 380.
380? Okay, thank you. So it appears without a motion to approve their appeal, we will just move forward with the rest of the budget, as is. So I move that back to you, John.
Oh, on continued discussion,
Or continued discussion, yes, I'm sorry. Before we make that other motion.
I guess, I gotta go back and talk about the sheriff's department again. I see on the sheriff's list here. Am I missing it? Did
What
I-
page are you on? Help me out here.
26.
Thank you. There it is.
On the list of things, I see 2 detectives on there. Isn't there 3?
So there's, if you look at the, under the sheriff, the 4th line down, there's a sergeant, 1 FTE sergeant detective.
Mm-hmm.
And then if you go down, there are 2 FTE deputy sheriff detectives.
Okay. I do see that now.
Okay.
The detective we added in November. And I have backing right here, and I'm not gonna read it unless people want me to. But we put that on because the crimes of homicide, rape, robbery, severe physical abuse, children kidnapping, severe assaults, it went on and on. And we put another deputy on to handle that. And as far as I am concerned, we didn't get that. And I want to make a motion to remove the deputy detective that we put on in November and the vehicle that went with the detective.
You approve a vehicle back in November also for that detective?
You did.
Do you want Mr. Six, he's standing in the wings there to answer some of these questions for us?
Well, obviously, if you could get me more deputies, that'd be awesome, John. I don't
We have a
have.
vacant spot for deputy.
We do,
right? Yeah.
and we cannot get people hired. Every time we get someone hired, someone leaves. We have people leaving corrections as well as the law enforcement side to go out to the regular public world to get more money and better benefits and less stress. Right now, we are down still 3 on the road, correct? We have 1 in FTO training right now. We are down 2 detectives, technically, but 1, Rose O'Grady, was the one that was picked from the law enforcement side to be our 3rd detective. However, because of shortness on the road, do we do that and prevent our community being a little more safe at the time? Because we keep losing people, we keep adding people. It takes us a certain amount of time for months to get our new deputies on the road by themselves. And every time we do, we lose another person, whether it's retirement or whether they go their separate ways. Corrections just got back. Well, you're still down 2, right? So corrections are still down 2. We're trying to get them going. The hard part is, I live in this community, right?
Mm-hmm. So do I.
I want the safety for them as well as this. We lost a detective that left for the secular world. He just was done with it. So we had that we had a deputy, law enforcement deputy, as well as a detective sergeant, was a Detective Sergeant Mackey, which was also here to help provide, to try to get that 3rd person. If we wouldn't keep losing people, they'd be filled by now. The issue is, Rose O'Grady is actually the one that also accepted the detective spot, which we're trying to get her in that spot. She actually has been doing some detective work while also working at Middleville. Lieutenant Tim Stevens they provided some stuff that she's able to still do up there while still trying to manage that spot. Middleville Police Department, the village of Middleville, they also offered they want another deputy up there. We can't fulfill that right now. So that's the hard part. The one part is we're looking at trying to get a detective back in there to help Detective Sergeant Mackey at the end of the year. Actually, start at the beginning of the year because December 29th, our newest deputy that's on the road for field training is Elijah Arnold. And he, if everything works out correctly, he should be done with his training December 29th. Can I, wave a magic wand and do this? I can't. We right now are contesting, we're fighting with larger departments that have better benefits. They're paying them more money or throughout the year. Ionia County is giving them disbursements to keep deputies there instead of going to other places. I can only do what I can. What do? We're too short. We just got back enough to help take care of court coverage because for some reason the courts here think we need 5 deputies here to cover 3 judges and 2 magistrates at any given time. So that means we're taking people off the road, shortening people. I came back as the undersheriff for 2 reasons: for my deputies and for the community. That's what I came back. I'm not getting another pension to help me later on, right? I don't get a pension. I'm getting my pay, and that's what I'm getting. I'm not adding to a new pension by being here, because I can't get it, because I was here once before as a sergeant for 26 and a half years, and I was here for 29 and a half years total. If I could do it, I would do it. We're still trying to get deputies. One good thing is MCOS just came out last week or 2 weeks ago with a grant approval, a $30 million grant approval. So if you want to, we can't call it sponsor anymore, endorse, hire one to go into the academy. They have to go through all these hoops and everything, but they will pay for the academy and up to $4,000 towards their salary. So we have 3 people that already work for us that are willing and want to become deputies for us and stay with us. We are trying to get that in place. We will bring that forth to you with that grant. I think the sheriff mentioned it a little bit one time. But they have to go through all these things just to get that. We don't have anybody sitting that's highly qualified to do it, to come in. We don't. Do we have any applications right now? Just no. Right. I'm just asking Lieutenant Stevens because he holds that. So we're trying. If we get those 3 in there, then that'll cover. But then I have another deputy that'll probably be retiring this coming year also, and we're still trying. If we take a couple of corrections deputies that are also willing to go in law enforcement, then that puts it down for the corrections deputies and overinflates them for what they have to do. Just like my cadets. We have cadets sitting Control 1, which are getting paid $13 and something an hour. They can go out and get a better job, more benefits. Here's an incentive to come work for us. I need to give them a raise. I'm going to ask you guys for that sometime again. I mean, I know Michael gave us a 2% raise for them, just like our court screeners. They don't get paid a lot to be there, and try to keep this as safe as possible and get qualified people for under $14 an hour where they can go out and make more. I don't know what to do. We're trying our best.
What I just suggested don't cut your department at all, does it?
Well,
We asked for a detective to take care of these crimes listed. We got a detective that got 1 job.
Mm-hmm.
1 job only. Am I correct on that?
So
we don't need that detective. You'll still have 2 detectives. The deputies that you have can move back to the deputies. I feel that the person that was hired for the detective that we put on was hired for election fraud. We put on a detective in November. In February, 1 was hired and got 1 job. Not this list of crimes that I got here that was said that why we wanted a detective. That is my reason for removing the deputy detective and put him back as a deputy.
I cannot answer that part of it because I'm not in charge of that person. So,
I knew that.
but
And I'm not saying I'll get a second, but that's the way I feel.
And
This was not done right.
And I don't believe the sheriff asked for that person. I was asking that for that third detective, just like the same reason the prosecutor as well as Detective Sergeant Mackey was involved.
I agree, and that's why
so-
we gave permission for that one.
Correct.
Thank you.
So when this complaint of election fraud hopefully will wind up sooner than later, will that detective that's handling that then go on to handle these things that is in the description of what John read in the,
No, that detective, that deputy that's
deputy.
working as, and doing some, the detective role for that single issue will be going then to, on the road for his field training and becoming a deputy. And then that spot would be fulfilled by another deputy as that request to be a detective.
but he will remain a deputy.
As long as he passes FTO and goes through the motions, yes.
And he won't be a detective any longer then?
Based on, correct.
Based on what,
Based on what's supposed to happen, yes. Rose O'Grady will be the next detective. She's the one that went through
so then you'll still only have two?
at that time until we keep fulfilling our,
I don't know, does that information help you at all? It helps me a little
I still feel
bit.
the same way. I feel that it wasn't handled properly. I know you're not the sheriff. And these people, we had 4 murders and stuff, and they come in and practically beg for another detective, and they didn't get it. And so if that's the case, I think we should remove that deputy detective and the vehicle, and then they can go right back to their 2, and that deputy that's there can become a deputy and go on the road.
So you're not, you're
Not cutting their staff at all.
not cutting staff, you're just cutting the detective
That they
portion.
asked for.
well, technically it would cut our staff by 1 person, even though we hadn't had a chance to fulfill it due to the fact that, yes.
You could say that, but no one will get laid off.
No, because we don't have enough people.
That's right.
So you'll
But
just,
if you do find some for me, please send them our way.
That's the way I feel. I can't change it.
I guess my.
Any other questions?
Any other questions from, any other?
Did you have a question? The sheriff was in last week and expressed that he didn't determine there was voter fraud in Berry County. It seems that we could reprioritize public safety. We know we have vacancies. We have a detective. Maybe his work is done. Maybe we can.
I cannot answer that. He would have to answer that.
I understand. But I would support John in that we should prioritize public safety at this point with our budget.
I do have a question, probably more for you, because the 2 positions that were not approved, but are not part of the budget, but they were asked for, and you're not appealing it, but they were for court officers, not for road patrol or regular deputies on the staffing requests.
My issue is I would much rather have the judges have their own bailiffs, except for Deputy Pearson, which would be our court deputy, basically, and he could oversee them, and he could oversee one of the courtrooms or whatever. But then we wouldn't be sitting here half hour before, oh, we have an add-on, and then I'd have to try to, or we have to try to jump someone off the road to come in and cover it, or myself, or the Lieutenant Stevens, or even the sheriff sometimes. So
I've talked to Sheriff Leaf about that too, about the use of bailiffs in the courtroom, rather than taking law enforcement off of road patrol or what other assignment they may have. So I've talked to them. So I think, I don't have any more questions for you. Oh, Bruce? Commissioner Campbell? Sorry.
Thank you. That's okay, Commissioner Vivian. To say this is a difficult subject would be a considerable understatement. I do totally agree with John in the fact that I almost feel like the old statement of the old bait and switch idea that comes across sometimes. So with that taken in view, definitely feel like maybe it was presented one way and given the other, but also in that same term, we live in an ever-changing world. And I would feel real bad if I thought that at the time that this came about a year ago when we were discussing and several people were promoting the idea of what John presented there as to what the detective would be used for, if I felt that that was pre-planned to get the position in and then move it into something else, it would be a hard feeling to deal with. But I also understand with this ever-changing world that there is that possibility that when that came about, that was the intentions, and something else which the sheriff, his responsibilities are to decide what's going to get investigated, when it's going to get investigated, and so forth. So I guess in my position here, it's very difficult to go which way on this one. I don't feel like I can step in and be determining our leadership in the sheriff department what they choose to promote or investigate first.
Well, I can, just so you, and I don't mean to interrupt, but John, just so you know, everything I know had, that third detective spot had nothing to do with voter fraud or anything else at the time when we were asking for it. And you understand that. So there was, and I'm just going back to the bait and switch thing, there was absolutely, and the person that was hired as a deputy later on to look into, investigate that information, actually wasn't even on the radar in November for a position, if that makes any sense, basically.
Yeah, I want to be clear. In no way do I believe there was a bait and switch. But it does come across in an unusual fashion when we see how the position or appeared to move into some other area. But I still stand firm that the sheriff has to be in charge of, that's what he's elected for. He's elected by the populace of the county. And his decisions to how he uses it and stuff like that is not for me to decide as a commissioner. So that's where I'm at.
Thank you. So, Catherine, I see a finger up here.
Yes.
Commissioner
So
Getty.
this is
Sorry.
as Commissioner Campbell stated, this is a difficult subject, and we're short 2 commissioners today, and their input, I think, would be valuable in going forward. I wondered, a question for Michael, what our schedule is for approving the budget, and can we delay the setting of the public hearing and until we have a full board?
Yeah, no, we do have to have the public hearing at the end of October. You can publish the budget, hold the public hearing, and have then discussion afterwards, including this topic, if you want, because once you adopt the budget, let me rephrase that. After you've had the public hearing, you'll have to adopt the budget. The public hearing is an opportunity for input that may result in a change in the budget that you then ultimately adopt. So historically, we haven't, but it's there that it's not assumed, if you may, or presumed that the budget that you present is the budget that will be adopted. If that was the case, then there wouldn't be that opportunity or the need for public input, which is designed to essentially or maybe reflect changes in the budget. So if that answers your question, what you could do is schedule the public hearing. We could post the budget for public inspection. You could continue to have some discussion on this. At that public hearing, you may get some public input relating to this or other topics related to the budget. And then after the public hearing, you would take all of that information as council, if you may, and then make a final determination on what you want to adopt as a budget.
This approved FTE positions by department list, so we would have to get, because I hear what John and Catherine is supporting. I mean, no motion was made, just to be clear. The what, you made a motion?
Yeah, and those of support. Catherine supported John's motion.
I didn't write it down. Are you talking about the approval to schedule the hearing? Not that one. We haven't done that one yet.
I make a motion to remove one deputy detective
Did you get
and
that,
one
Pam?
vehicle.
I did.
I'm sorry. I apologize.
And it's all right with me if we vote on it today. I just wanted to know how I feel about it.
Okay.
If it don't pass, by God, I'll vote it.
Will that change this then? If they vote on this, will that change this approved FTE position list? Is that what we're changing here?
Effectively, that's
Effectively?
correct. And as well as then before we prepare the budget for public inspection, in the public hearing, we'd adjust the sheriff's department budget accordingly. So reducing and we're talking about around $100,000.
But we're not talking about, John, and I want to ask this because I want to understand, are you wanting to change that bottom number from 67.5 to 66.5 then? Or are you just wanting to redirect that deputy sheriff, just that 1-to-1, and add other just deputy sheriff road patrol? I mean, I don't know how you want to amend that list.
I guess I want to go to 66 and fill the deputy roles that we got.
That's my question is. I mean, I understand what the motion is.
It added a position, right?
And so that's, based on that, I wondered how you want to amend the list to reduce it to 66.5, so one person would be without a position.
No one would be laid off because there's open positions.
Is that right?
That's correct. Yeah, there are some vacancies.
Will that change the bottom number?
That's correct. Yeah, it will.
No, I mean, once they rehire them, will they have to be rehired as That's what I'm
Right back
asking.
to where it was in November.
66.5?
Yep.
So what'll happen to that live breathing person that's,
Again, they just wouldn't hire, there's a deputy that's a vacant deputy position.
okay. So
as
of
I
that
understand it.
67.5, there's so many vacancies. Is that what you're saying?
That's my understanding. There's a couple vacancies.
Okay.
So nobody would be, to John's point, if all the positions were filled, if all 67 positions were filled, if you may,
Okay,
somebody would end up laid off.
okay,
In this case, there's a vacancy, and it's a deputy that fills that role. So you just wouldn't hire, as I understand what John's proposing.
I just want to make that clear because I don't want somebody going, thinking that we're reducing the current employees by one. So, that's all.
You're reducing the number that they are allowed to hire to get to full force by one, but you're not, as I understand, John, yeah.
Okay. Any more discussion? Madam Clerk, will you reread the motion? Because I did not write it down, I apologize.
I have motion by Smelker, seconded by Getty, to remove the deputy detective position, which was put on in November, and also the vehicle. Is that correct?
Is that correct? I'm sorry, I didn't hear you. Sorry. Was looking the other way. If there isn't any other discussion, Madam Clerk, will you call the roll?
Smoker,
Yes.
Campbell,
No.
Geiger is absent, Getty,
Aye.
Gibson,
Aye.
Jackson absent, Connor.
No. So motion is approved, 3-2. Does it have to be 2/3?
No, you're a 7-member board. At 3-2, it would,
Gotta have 4.
you'd need 4.
Oh, not just the majority of the ones present?
I don't know that that's been answered. It's a recommendation to the full board. That, I guess, is, I think we've always treated it, even at a committee of the whole, that you'd need 4. But I don't know because it.
Let's take a short break while we review the rules. Can we do
Okay.
that, Michael?
Yeah,
Thank you.
Yep.
Like this very often, yes.
Well, they know if they'll be here the next time. Hey, Mark. I didn't see you.
How we doing today?
Gotta get my desk back together. We can come back to order, please.
I think they're gonna pass it, but I don't know.
So we looked at our rules, Article 4, Section A, quorum. I'll read the first part of it. A majority of the members of the County Board of Commissioners shall constitute a quorum for the transaction of the ordinary business of the county, and questions which arise at meetings shall be determined by the votes of a majority of the members present, except upon the final passage or adoption of a measure or resolution or the allowance of a claim against the county, in which case a majority of the members elected and serving shall be necessary. So because this is the motion that Commissioner Smelker and Commissioner Getty made and seconded, it is a recommendation to change the current budget. This budget when we continue our business, will not be finally approved until after the hearing next week. So Michael and I have talked about it. We've talked to John, and according to the quorum of members present, and this is not final because we're not approving the budget today, that the motion was approved on a 3-2 vote will stand.
Just to clarify, the hearing will be in 2 weeks.
It will be at the October 25th.
I'm sorry, you're right, October 25th, at the last Board of Commissioners meeting. Thank you, Catherine. All right, is there anything else we want to go and discuss, or are we all set and we need to move on to the next item? Is there anything else?
Motion for approval to schedule a public hearing during the regular meeting of the Berry County Board of Commissioners on October 25th, 2022 at 9 a.m. regarding the 2023 Berry County proposed budget, and to recommend adoption of Resolution 22-13 to adopt the 2023 Berry County Budget, General Appropriations Act, and millage after holding a public hearing.
Second, Gibson.
Motion by Smelker, seconded by Gibson, for the approval to schedule a public hearing during the regular meeting of the Berry County Board of Commissioners on October 25th, 2022 at 9 a.m. regarding the 2023 Berry County proposed budget, and to recommend adoption of Resolution 22-13 to adopt the 2023 Berry County Budget, General Appropriations Act, and millage after holding a public hearing. Discussion. And thank you, Catherine, for catching that. I'm sorry, it's not next week, it's 2 weeks. Any discussion? I'll read the motion again. Approval to schedule a public hearing. I'm sorry. Michael, anything?
Nope.
Okay, sorry, didn't
Sorry.
ask you. Approval to schedule a public hearing during the regular meeting of the Berry County Board of Commissioners on October 25th, 2022 at 9 a.m. regarding the 2023 Berry County proposed budget, and to recommend adoption of Resolution 22-13 to adopt the 2023 Berry County Budget Generation Appropriations Act and millage after holding a public hearing. Madam Clerk, will you call the roll?
Campbell.
Aye.
Geiger absent. Getty.
Aye.
Gibson.
Aye.
Jackson absent. Smelker.
Aye.
Connor.
Aye. Motion is approved. Unfinished business, we have none. New business, we have none. County Administrator's Report.
I'm all set.
Okay, thank you. The chairperson is absent, vice chair. So since our last board meeting, I've attended an airport board meeting. It's just regular work. Gun Lake Improvement Board, our Clark Aquatic Consultant has built a website for us and will be finishing it up this month. We did not need a treatment this month of either the lake or the channels. Treatments are done for the year. We will be having a special meeting on October 20th, 2022 at 6:30 p.m. at the Orangeville Township Hall. one of our Lakes residents requested time to present information about sampling soils in the lake. Our last regular meeting of the year will be on October 27, 2022, at the Orangeville Township Hall, when our annual report is presented to the board. I also attended the Orangeville Township meeting. For all of you firefighters out there, we ordered a brand new engine, and it was supposed to have been already delivered, and then they extended it to December, and now it will be coming in April of 2023. So it's just one of the struggles. It is hard to get vehicles. That's all I have. Commissioner Campbell.
I did attend Maple Grove Township meeting and also attended the Syria Township meeting, and Syria is working on a revised, updated website.
Wonderful. Okay, thank you. Commissioner Gibson is good? Commissioner Smelker?
Me too. I'm good.
Commissioner Getty?
No report.
No report. Thank you. Moving on. Limited public comment. At this time, any member of the public wishing to address the committee may do so for up to 3 minutes. Thank you.
Hi.
Good morning.
Michelle Peltier, City of Hastings. 3 items. One, I would hope that during the public comment for the budget, we can reconsider money for the COA. In common discussion that we've had here is that it would be wonderful for landlords if their tenants painted and did the plumbing work and did a new roof. It would make us landlords longer. And perhaps maybe that should be considered in the budget for the COA, that the building is taken care of, or a new building. Perhaps any surpluses in any other areas could be looked at for the COA in some way, shape, or form. We're all aging every day. We may not all use the COA as much as some, but eventually all of us will use it, and it would be good for the community. Secondly, I have asked for progress reports on the initial ARPA projects. I've received 2 from 2 different commissioners. I want to thank Mr. Smelker for that, for the reports, but it would be just nice to hear the updates if we could get it without it being a work project, as I've asked for before. And thirdly, there was a concept that was brought up last week about grant writing. And I do not know how to go about it, or how to ask for it, or how it could happen, but in the community it seems that we have certain grant writers in different departments in different areas. But considering that the Chamber of Commerce now has a new software that can gather a lot of data, and they have somebody that can come in and actually gather the data properly, if we could have a shared resource, or probably resources, that could write grants based on the information that's gathered for the different areas, so that it's not one FTE does not have to be funded by each department, and just look at it as a shared resource to move around between the departments. Just a concept, and it was raised last week, and I would like to support that if there's any way that could be considered. So, thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Hang on just a second. Struggle with this. There we go.
Shelley Lake Irving. A couple of things. I just wanted to thank Chairwoman Connor for attending her political party fundraiser. That was great to see, and I would kind of encourage everyone, regardless of which party you're in, to see what's going on in your parties and help out when you can. So thank you. Regarding the deputy, I know I'm not speaking to you. I would hope that we would not go into any department and tell them how to utilize their employees without maybe hearing a little bit both sides. There were 2 forums on one night, and Commissioner Smelker and Commissioner Jackson chose to go to one because they were going to be talking about election integrity. And he did homework. It was a local truck driver, did a lot of work into it, said there was no voter fraud. Election Integrity Force has engineers, has scientists working on this. I can tell you did a lot more than one QVF. Commissioner Getty, your voting history was wiped out, deleted. When Sheriff Leaf said there was no fraud in Berry County, I listened to it. Our clerks do a great job. I'll say it again, I'm on the record. I fully support our clerks. I fully support Pam Palmer. There was no fraud there. There is major fraud in the election and problems with those tabulators. So he was not saying there's no fraud in the election. Those tabulators we're using, they are not correctly certified. The software is not correctly certified. We should not be using them. You know, I don't know what more to say. We canvassed and walked with Election Integrity Force. We visited 355 homes. We were successful, reaching 246 of them. 72 of the voters had either died or moved away before the 2020 election. 72 out of 246. 15% out of digital, looking up obituaries and so forth, had been dead long before the election. And, you know, it just goes on. And it's both parties, our governor, her voting history was deleted. I'm talking Secretary of State level, not here. Berry County is very honest. But when it was put back for the April 1st, 21 QVF, because Election Integrity Force has got it every month, it was put back different, whether she voted in person, absentee, or didn't vote. They were all different from one QVF to the other, which should never change.
Thank you. Time is up.
Thank you. All I ask is ask questions on the other side too.
Anyone else?
Courtney Zinni, Executive Director for Commission on Aging. I just wanted to thank everyone for considering our appeal and giving that some thought and some conversation. I do hope that perhaps it comes up again at the public hearing. I also want to let everyone know that we have started a building committee. We're open to discussion. We would love to hear from constituents, from commissioners. You know, I'm new to this conversation, so maybe I haven't had the conversation with some of you that others have. And we'd really need to start looking at our options, repairing the building we have, a new building, or a different building. And I believe that we're back to square one. We don't have a set agenda, so now's the time to start those conversations. And so I invite everyone, come to the building, come talk to us. I want to hear what's being said. I want to know what the public opinions are. So it's an open invitation. We're open from 8 to 5, Monday through Friday.
Thank you. Anyone else? Thank you. Other business, we have none. Commissioner comments. We'll start just the opposite. Catherine? Or Commissioner Getty? Sorry.
No comment.
Commissioner Smelker?
I guess my comment is I am not saying how our sheriff should investigate stuff. It's all I'm saying is on this one detective, we asked him to do one thing, that didn't happen. He can investigate anything he wants with his deputies. That's all I got to say.
Okay. Commissioner Gibson?
I'm good.
Commissioner Campbell?
I would just like to make a small statement concerning our COA. I think that the true being of any society is determined and seen in how they take care of their elderly. So I know we have lots of things to deal with here all the time, but I hope we never lose sight that the importance in our society is how we take care of our elderly.
Thank you. Well, we have come to the end of our agenda. If we have no other items and no objections from the board, the meeting is adjourned at 10:12. Thank you very much.